Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning Five here on Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. Yes, that's right. JBook on a Wednesday. We have a very special guest on Friday, this coming Friday. Can't let the cat out of the bag quite yet on that. Been sworn to secrecy, but we're going to have a special guest on Friday. JBook was kind enough to agree to move up to Wednesday. So special treat, JBook on a Wednesday. We're going to give our Marshall predictions. We're going to talk Michigan, USC. We're going to talk Donovan Jackson's back. We're going to take some of your questions. We're going to talk about JBook and his friend Danny Cannell going back and forth on the Twitter machine. So we're going to have a really good show for you guys. Before we get to all of that, I'm going to let you guys know once again about Mando whole body deodorant. It's a great product, and I highly recommend it to you guys. If you're like me and you were using like the same deodorant for like the last several years, maybe it's time to try something new and better. Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando is American made. It controls odor for up to 72 hours. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant. That's what this is. 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my new favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com. Code Bucknuts at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. There we go. All right, let's bring in the one and only Jonah Booker. Good to see you, JBook, on a Wednesday.
Hey, how are you, good sir?
Good to see you, man. All right, should we just cut to the chase? I have mine queued up. Ohio State is favored by 39.5 points against visiting Marshall. Saturday, high noon. It's going to be a hot one in the Horseshoe. 89 degrees. This summer, this drought just will not leave us here in Columbus. 89 degrees is the forecast. All right, give me your score prediction. I have mine queued up. What do you got?
All right. I got the Buckeyes covering the spread 51-3.
We're almost exactly the same again.
Let's see.
I
What
have
you got?
45-3.
45-3?
45-3. I just put it on the ticker. I already had it in there. So you have 51-3.
I have 51-3.
We're all one of the. Sometimes we're right on. We're all one of the scores is always a dead on, either Ohio State's score or the opponent. Yeah, I've been picking the opponent. I think it gets 7 the first 2 weeks, and I've told myself until a team actually scores a touchdown on this defense, I'm not picking. Certainly not this week. Certainly not Michigan State. Certainly not Iowa. Maybe I'll pick Oregon to score a touchdown. By maybe I'll say definitely. But man, this defense is just. I'm really impressed with the offense, but this defense it has to be the best in college football, in my opinion.
Yeah, my initial thought those first couple weeks, Dave, was, hey, they're going to blow these teams out, put the backups in, and then you may see the opposing team score a touchdown. I've changed my tone in that regard, Dave, because the way these second and third teamers are coming in and playing their butts off, I'm just like, oh, like you said, I need to see it to believe it that a team's going to actually score a touchdown, especially with the way those guys are playing right now. Because you flip on that game, in the seconds and the thirds, you take off the name back of the name of the jersey, and the effort is still the same.
Yeah, did you see by any chance we knew Will Howard played really well. I know it was Western Michigan, but did you happen to see the highlight video of Will Howard against Western Michigan? He was just, man, I expected a lot out of him, especially with his experience and then getting the several months learning under Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, especially Ryan Day, his history being a quarterback whisperer. Will Howard's been even better than I expected, man.
I think he's a prime example of. We heard a lot of criticism about, oh, he was this, he was that at Kansas State. I think this is a prime example where people who were trying to knock him exaggerated what type of talent that he was going to be. Because when you put his talent in that quarterback room with the weapons that he had at Ohio State, it can really enhance someone's game. Because you keep in mind at Kansas State, his number one weapon was like a hybrid tight end fullback, something like that. So he never had the plethora of wide receivers and skill position guys that he's working with now. But the leadership that he's shown right now, Dave, has been tremendous. One thing I really liked about him, what he said yesterday, Dave, is he no longer gets nervous. He's excited. He's really embracing being a Buckeye. He's soaking in every moment that he has because he knows he's only here for 1 year. And he also let the cat out the bag that he's such a film junkie that even when he's in class, instead of paying attention on what's going on in school, he's actually back there with his iPad breaking down film coverage. I thought that was fascinating because those are the type of guys that really excel because it is a chess match. Like he said, Dave, when you're out there, it really is a chess match. That's one of the reasons why I love football so much because you can always come out with something different. You're always trying to counter it. But I really appreciate him saying that, hey, I'm embracing this moment. I'm enjoying every second of being a Buckeye here, and I'm not nervous any longer. The stage is not too big for me. I thought that was really cool.
That was awesome. I did a story after the press conference yesterday on that, and I ended with that quote. And yeah, I think his professors are going to find out now, but I guarantee you his coaches love it. I mean, he's already a graduate anyway.
Yeah,
I love that
he's a graduate.
well, these guys aren't really even going to class. Like Will Howard is like a graduate student, like going physically to class. It's not, they're not just taking on, and even if you are just taking online classes, who cares? That's part of the real world now. But I loved that, man. I mean, I just, he comes in there after Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, and two guys who just, do a great job at press conferences. I love getting to know Chip Kelly, getting to know him, not like we go out for beers, not yet at least, but just getting to know him. He's such an intelligent, witty guy. And then Will Howard comes in there, and there's like no drop off. He just commands the room. He's just a grown bleep man. And
this is such a likable team, Dave. We're only 2 games into it, and there's going to be adversity. But I will say so far, I have really enjoyed this football team, watching these guys interact. And Ryan Day is coaching his you-know-what off, Dave. Just being able to he's really done a great job embracing the CEO role. And I love seeing him getting after referees on the sidelines.
Yep.
I love seeing him getting after kids on the sideline, coming off, coaching them hard. There's no substitution for coaching them hard. And having him dialed into all phases of the game, including special teams, it's been really cool to see this year.
We're not going to make fun of our friend here. We all do grammatical mistakes, but we're not going to put Satan in the second half. We're just not doing it. We're not going to do it.
Not today.
On YouTube. He's saying, we know what he's saying. We know what he's trying to say. No, right. I hear you. I hear you. Just a minor grammatical error there. But yeah, Julian saying, I don't know the entire second half because they'll probably still do the window dressing with Devin Brown goes in there first, even though I'm convinced Ryan Day knows that Julian Sands is the second best quarterback. But I digress. That's one for you, front row radio or front row radio. Jesus, going back
old school, Dave. About 15 years ago, when
more than a decade.
When we used to do the radio
board. For people have no idea what I'm talking about, there was a long thread on our message board on Bucknuts talking about how we say I digress a lot. Like they were talking about, so we kind of had a lot of fun with that. But I digress. So yeah, man. I mean, it's just I don't know. I mean, Julian saying, yeah, he'll play, but probably not the entire second half. I just hope we see him a decent amount in there. What do you think?
Yeah, he'll be in there, but I'm still going to take Ryan Day's word that whoever is in there at the quarterback position, those guys are going to be able to fully operate the quarterback. And that's one thing he said. We talked about it last week. He said that was something that he learned in the past. These kids deserve a fair opportunity to get into the game, operate the offense to the highest level instead of just sitting on the football, trying to run the clock out. At this point, man, sportsmanship, I respect the sportsmanship angle, Dave, but you got to get these kids ready. It's not my job to stop our own kids if we're going to score. So we need to get in there, get as many guys prepared as possible. And if that means that, hey, Julian Sand needs to get in there and throw the ball around a little bit just to get those live reps and they score, Hey, stop them. So be it. It's our threes. If you can't stop our threes, that's not my problem.
That's exactly right. Donovan Jackson's back, and Austin Seiderveld played really well. That just, man, that was might be a blessing in disguise there. You keep Donnie healthy, and you get Austin 2 starts in there.
Yeah.
And Dave said, Jackson's back, but Austin's deserved a chance to at least get in there and play a little bit. I don't think they're going to be like rotating or anything, but good to have Donovan Jackson back.
Good to have him back. I'm fascinated to see how this offensive line will gel. I thought it was critical for him to come back this game, Dave. You want to be able to get at least one game back under his belt with his starting unit before you start to head into Big Ten play. But Austin Sarah was probably, you can make an argument, one of the biggest surprises coming out of camp with his play so far, Dave. I think he's made a tremendous jump in his play and development. So that's a testament to the coaching for him. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Donnie back. And then the rotation there, Dave. I still think that if you start to get up big, we gotta develop a 7th offensive lineman. I mean, you could probably make an argument that Carson Hinsman is your 7th offensive lineman, but I'm thinking more or less like, hey, we still need some clarification on, do we have viable backups at the tackle position? That's still a major question mark. So yeah, good on Austin Serva. And I know there's been some tinker with him being a tackle. I truly believe that he's a guard. I think his body type and his length and stuff leads you to believe that he could be a really good guard. But they got to be able to find that 3rd tackle at minimum, Dave, before we start to get into late October.
Jermaine Runnels, Facebook, loyal listener of the show. You better believe it. He says, any thoughts on USC versus that team up north? Oh, you better believe it. You better believe there's some thoughts here.
He's calling Alex Orji the Timu Cam Newton. That's hilarious.
It's orgy time in Ann Arbor. Yeah, good stuff there from Jermaine. Yes, sir. I can't believe, so it opened at 6.5.
Yeah.
The point spread, USC favored, right? And I told my my friend I do a show with here in Columbus, Scotty Vegas, I was like, hey, people better jump on that if they think USC is going to cover, because I bet that goes up. I bet that goes up to 7.5. It's ticked down to 5.5. The money's coming in on Michigan.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I would jump all over that 5.5 USC.
Yeah.
Where are you
I'm gonna put some money on USC at 5.5, Dave. I need to see it to believe it with this quarterback. I don't think he can throw the football. And how big of a rookie mistake was it from Sharon Moore even announcing that Orji was going to be the starting quarterback on the Monday? Rookie mistake. If you're a veteran head coach, you go into that game saying, hey, we're still evaluating both quarterbacks. We're going to see how both guys practice this week, and you guys will find out who the starter is once the first play of the game is snapped. You do that so that you can force USC to, at minimum, spend time preparing for Davis Warren. Now, if you're going to start Alex Orji, you come out, you throw them for a loop because, Orji starting, and guess what? We're going quick game right now. Out the gates, we're going to make some easy throws to get him into a rhythm, and that right there would definitely would have had USC off their kilters. But no, here he is. Yeah, Orji's going to be the starting quarterback here. So USC can now delegate 100% of their game plan and strategy to stopping a dual threat quarterback, whereas you'd have been preparing for Davis Warren. But I don't. Here's the thing about Michigan, and I will say it again, Dave. Jump out on them. Jump out on them quickly. And if you can do that, you are going to get them totally out of their comfort zone. They do not like to have to operate with a sense of urgency. If you jump out on them and you're USC, you're going to make those guys have to get out of that comfort zone and have to force Alex Orji to throw the ball 25, 30 times a game. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do it, Dave.
I can't believe that. I know. Listen, I'm not acting like USC is a world beater. Okay, we can't act like this is Texas going in there again, because USC looked really good. They barely beat LSU, but LSU doesn't look that good to me. Still, USC with Miller Moss is a good quarterback.
Right.
You know they're going to be good offensively. And I really like their defensive coordinator they poached from UCLA. And granted, there was nowhere to go but up, but I think that they've improved, a lot defensively. Again, there's nowhere to go but up, but I think they've improved a lot defensively. I don't understand how this is a 5.5 point spread. Again, I don't think USC is going to win this game by 30.
Yeah.
Man, I think they're going to win by double digits, and I feel very confident about that.
I think Wink Martindale is washed up, Dave. And it's so funny. Post Arkansas State game, you venture over to any of the Michigan boards, and they're out on Wink Martindale. They're even calling him washed up. So that was quite the read last Saturday post Arkansas State. And the reason I bring him up, and I said it before, I think he's just another version of Don Brown 2.0. Lincoln Riley is going to put him in a blender. And Lincoln Riley is on that same level of play caller as Sark. And we all saw what Sark was able to do there. If you got a competent quarterback who can stand in there, because he's going to blitz you, no doubt about it. But if you got a competent quarterback who's going to be able to stand in that pressure and deliver a strike, you can eat that defense up. The speedy wide receiver slips my name for USC. He was a target for Ohio State at one point out of Bishop Gorman, Las Vegas. But he can have an absolute field day. I don't think they're going to Will Johnson shadow him, especially in the slot. So putting him in a slot against some of those Michigan DBs who have greatly struggled, I think they have an opportunity to really jump out on Michigan. And if so, that's when the wheels are going to start to fall off. If you're a live bettor, Dave, I would say keep a close eye on that game, because if USC jumps out on them, Dave, it could really snowball for that Michigan team, because now you're talking about having Alex Orji have to drop back and do something that he is not comfortable doing. And if that's the case, USC can really roll those boys up in Ann Arbor.
I'm glad you brought up live betting. Yeah, we're going to talk a little sports gambling here, because that's a great point, JBook. Even if you're somebody out there who just wants to bet $1 or $5, live betting, if you think you know your college football, that's where you can make your hay. Because, for example, I have a good example last week during Wisconsin, Alabama. So Wisconsin, first drive of the game, they go down, they kick a field goal, they take a 3-0 lead, but their quarterback gets knocked out of the game, right? And didn't do anything yet. Alabama goes right down the field, but they miss a field goal. But they looked they just marched down the field with no problem. Alabama shanks a field goal, so it's 3-0 Wisconsin. The line drops all the way to 10.5. Alabama's only favored by 10.5, with Wisconsin's quarterback knocked out of the game and with Alabama just flying down the field on their first possession, even though they didn't score. And I jumped on that 10.5 because of that live bet. And then
easy money. So that you're right. If for some reason Michigan comes out, and let's say Michigan comes out and gets a 3-0 lead. Yeah.
Fly on USC, man. Just smash USC. Smash USC right now, in my opinion. 5.5. I feel like that's, maybe I'm missing something. I feel like that's taking candy from a baby, my friend.
Yeah, but I'm a big live bettor, Dave. And if you can watch those lines, because the algorithms will start to, sway a certain way there. And if you can jump on it, then there's a lot of opportunities to make some really good change there.
Here's a question that I have. I still have no idea how he doesn't get more heat. We've had a couple of people ask this. Big John. JBook, how does Ward Manuel still have a job?
I don't know. And did you hear the latest thing? There's some type of scandal about the apparel company that's on campus walked up to his office and dropped off a multi-million-dollar check, and they put it in his office because they have some type of contractual agreement with the athletic department. And there was a check for a couple $1 million for him to deposit. This guy never deposited the check. He didn't know that the check was in there. And then he got around to it way later, and I guess the check bounced or something like that. And he tried to blame it and say, oh, they dropped it off with a receptionist. They should have made it known that such large quantities of money was being dropped off and alerted someone with authority or something like that. I'm just like, what's going on up there? It's every week is something new.
Yeah, people think Mike Hart might be the whistleblower. I mean, he was mad he didn't get promoted, right? To offensive coordinator. Are you buying that at all? That Mike Hart could be like one of the whistleblowers here?
Could be. I mean, it could be. Who knows, Dave? I
It's
mean,
so
when you look at what has happened, you look at Mike Hart. Oh, they kind of you could probably tell they forced him out for whatever personal reasons. You look at Dudek, they forced him out. The recruiting, their Mark Pertoni at the time, who's I believe down in Mississippi State. There's been some smoke that he's been a whistleblower there, and then you look at some of the other coaches. The linebacker coach who was part of the whole scheme with Connor Stallions, he got fired mid-season last year. There's been a lot of coaches coming and going there. So I'm pretty sure there's someone with a grudge that they've said, hey, I was done wrong. I'm going to cooperate because, this is my payback.
there was a funny joke. I can't remember even who said it. It was somebody I believe in a group text, or it was maybe it was on Bucknuts. Somebody said, "Well, Mike Hart never could keep his mouth shut.
That's true.
We used to not like it. Now, oh, okay, well,
Yeah. And the crazy thing too, Dave, and we talked about snowballing when it comes to Michigan before we move on. If they lose this game, you start to look at their schedule, it can really snowball for those guys because you look at Illinois. Illinois looks like they have a legit defense. I think they've had 7 turnovers created over the last 2 games, beat a top 25 Kansas team. And Illinois looks like they're going to be a competitive game, which at the time started the season, you would have said, oh, yeah, 100% give that game to Michigan. You look at Indiana, Dave. Indiana looks like they have a legitimate coaching staff right now. And I think they're playing some solid football. Albeit they haven't played a lot of people, but that offense is something to behold, Dave. Indiana's not going to be a pushover. And the crazy thing is, Indiana always plays Michigan tough. Then you factor in they also got Oregon. They still have to go out to Washington, which is going to be a tough game. So Michigan, it could really snowball for those guys if they lose this game. You're probably talking about a potential 4-5 loss team.
I have no idea what this is about. You told me, that you were exchanging tweets with
Oh,
Danny Cannell this morning. I
yeah.
don't even know what this is about. So we're all going to learn at the same time. So what's this back and forth with the former Florida State quarterback?
So Danny Cannell for the last 2 days have been trying to bait Ohio State fans in about strength of schedule after only 2 weeks. And he releases a tweet tonight or today. Oh, Ohio State strength of schedule out of top 10, top 15 teams is 127th in the country. And I'm like, dude, did you hurt your brain doing that research after only 2 weeks? What I'm trying to say to Danny and to say to Ohio State fans is don't get baited in by these national talking heads. They're trying to use the Buckeye fan base as clickbait and drive traffic. The reason is strength of schedule doesn't even matter, Dave, in a 12-team playoff. I don't care if you have a weak schedule. If you win 10 games and you are a top Power 5 team, you're going to be in the 12-team playoff regardless. So you look at Michigan. Michigan probably had one of the worst schedules last year. Didn't matter. Made the 14 playoff. Just win. You're in. Danny Cannell is trying to drive up traffic with the Buckeye fans, trying to harp on this point about strength of schedule. Like, it doesn't matter, Danny. It doesn't matter in the 12-team playoff saga. So you're going to hear him continue on forward because he's getting the attention that he's been seeking.
And even if it was the old system that we had for all of 10 years, that we had last year, if it was just 4 teams,
Yeah.
Ohio State's strength of schedule by the end of the regular season will look pretty good. Will their non-conference strength of schedule look good? No, of course not. But they're playing, except USC's jumped up, but they're playing the teams that were favored 2 through 6 in the Big Ten entering the season. So you're talking about Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Iowa, teams like that. Ohio State's the only team in the Big Ten that's playing all of those teams, right? And now you have Nebraska looking better than what anybody expected. You have Indiana looking better than what anybody expected. So I think by the end of the regular season, not as you said, strength of schedule doesn't even really matter. But if it did, I think Ohio State's strength of schedule is actually going to be pretty strong by the end of the year.
Right. And so when you're looking at this situation, Dave, this tells me that guys like Danny Cannell, they still haven't really got their mind around the new era of college football. Strength of schedule is more or less a BCS type of argument there, and somewhat with the 14 playoffs, depending on the seedings. But in this era, Dave, nobody cares about strength of schedule. If long as you win, you're going to get into the 12-team playoffs. Only way that you can probably have that type of discussion is at the end of the season and you have an undefeated Buckeyes versus undefeated Georgia Bulldogs or something, or undefeated Texas. Now you're talking about who should be the one, who should be the 2 seed. But for 99% of the rest of college football, strength of schedule does not even matter.
No, it does not. No, it does not. What else does anything surprise you in the Big Ten? Are you surprised in year 2, Luke Fickell's team looks so bad? I'm not even necessarily talking about the Alabama game.
Yeah.
Although, even with your backup quarterback, you should have at least maybe, had a puncher's chance at home. But dude, we know how Ohio State looked against Western Michigan. They made Western Michigan look like they were like a bad D3 team, 56-0. That same Western Michigan team was leading Wisconsin in the fourth quarter. Just get into Wisconsin, and is there anything that's surprising you so far in the Big Ten?
I am surprised that Wisconsin has looked this way. I would have thought the way Nebraska looks right now, that's what type of trajectory that you would have Wisconsin on. I thought that Luke Fickell would have Wisconsin looking in the same manner that you see Nebraska trending up right now. And Wisconsin looks horrible, Dave. I know Luke wanted to come in there and try to modernize that offense. It's going to take a little bit to get those type of players in that environment, but he's going to have to definitely hit the transfer portal, Dave, to try to supplement if he's going to try to modernize that offense, because you're just not going to be able to recruit at an elite level to speed up what you're trying to do in the state of Wisconsin. But I am surprised. Nebraska has been a surprise. I don't know what's going on. Penn State's like Jekyll and Hyde, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at them against West Virginia and you're like, oh, pretty solid. Looks like it could be a top 10 team. And then here they are in the fourth quarter going blow for blow with Bowling Green, and Bowling Green almost had them on the ropes here. Like, what are you doing? Like, and James Franklin is going to be good for one. But yeah, I'm not 100% sold on them. I will say this though. I think Michigan State is maybe a little ahead. They're 3-0 right now, and maybe a little ahead of where they should be. I thought that was a very, very solid win going on the road to Maryland and beating them, because I thought Mike Locksley would have them have Maryland a little further ahead. I think Rutgers is solid. Rutgers is a solid team with Shiano, but Nebraska is probably one of the biggest surprises of the Big Ten right now, because at the end of the day, you still have a true freshman quarterback, and true freshman quarterbacks usually are prone for a lot of mistakes. And Dylan Raiola has been pretty solid with Nebraska so far.
You're always more than pretty solid. You're always great. Great stuff from Jonah Booker. Appreciate you moving it up a couple of days.
No problem.
If you're just tuning in, guys, we're going to have a special guest on Friday. So JBook was kind enough to move up to Wednesday. Thank you, my friend. And appreciate your knowledge as always.
Yep. And thank you all for the condolences. We had to put the family dog down yesterday, Dave, and she was my little lady, and it was a tough, brutal day, and everybody, the Buckeye fans, have been very kind with all the kind words. And she was 15 years part of this family, but Father Time caught up with her, and she told us it's time for me to go. So we didn't want her to suffer, and we just made sure that she went out with her family, loving her around her in her own bed.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. But it sounds like she lived a long life.
She had a wonderful life, Dave. She had a wonderful life.
I'm with you, man. I mean, like, pets are a part of our family.
Absolutely.
So condolences to you, my friend.
Thank you. And I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks,
right.
JBook. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate everybody for joining the show as always. Love you guys. And again, condolences to JBook losing his family pet. That sucks. But great stuff from JBook. Really appreciate him. As always, he's a good friend, and he's fantastic on the show. So thanks to JBook. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day. Go Bucks. And if you're still with me, I'm going to let you guys know about our friends over at Joy Mode. I think I speak for most men when I say we want to have better sex. And for the sake of our partner, we may need to have better sex. The issue is that over-the-counter pills contain unregulated chemicals, suggest unsafe doses, and include the risk of several other health problems. That's why we partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode. Whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence in the bedroom, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. Here are the game changers. All ingredients have been assessed in peer-reviewed journals. All ingredients have been studied and researched in humans. Go to tryjoymode.com/bucknuts and get 20% off with code Bucknuts at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code Bucknuts at tryjoymode.com/bucknuts. Great sex solved naturally. There we go. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you so much. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.